Hi there, I'm Anita Thompson from Art Venture Workshops, and we are going to be painting this night beach silhouette in acrylic paints. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is a pencil with an eraser and also two brushes. Those will come in your art kit. You'll have a flat brush, which is bigger and flat on the bottom of the bristles, and then a round brush, which is used for detail. So those will be coming in your kit. You will need to supply water, a cup of water, and also some paper towels or something to dry your brushes on. And that's it that you'll need to supply. And then obviously there will be a blank canvas panel. It's 11 by 14. So we are going to get started painting. Well, first we're going to be drawing it. So we're going to grab our pencils first. I'm going to move the original sample here, and we're going to get started with the drawing first. So that's what we'll be painting today. As you can see, we'll be using 4 colors: blue, white, red, black. You'll also need a cup of water. You have your blank canvas, 11 by 14, pencil with an eraser, and 2 brushes, the flat brush and the round brush. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to draw this first and then paint it. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to draw a straight line across a little bit above the bottom of the canvas, and that's our water line. We're just going to go about right across here, just like that. We next want to draw our hill. So that's about right here. It's going to slope down like that. And then we're going to draw just the palm tree, the part of the palm tree that's the long part, but not the branches, because we will paint those in afterward. So we're now going to draw that part of the palm. So it's going to go up a little bit straight. Then it's going to bend. I like to add a little bit of coconut feel in there, right there. I'm going to fix this. Straighten that out a little more. There we go. And then we're going to draw a circle for our moon. Do the best you can with the moon. I know it's hard to make a perfect circle. Have something to copy. You can try that. I'm just gonna see if I can wing it. Make it a little bigger here. Erase that to make it a little bigger. And that's it for the drawing portion of the painting. The rest of it we do with our paint. So again, so I've been using this paint today. but we just have 4 colors, our blue, white, black, and red. And we're going to start off with our blue, and we're going to start painting. So basically what we're going to do before we add the paint, there is one more thing that I want to do to this, to the palm tree. We do want to kind of give a little bit of shape to our leaves. Later on, we will then add all of the fuzzy part of them. But this way, we can still paint around them and add whatever we need later on. So what I'm doing now is it kind of makes it look like we're drawing fireworks. Those are the individual parts of the palm tree leaves. And I'm gonna make this moon still a little bit bigger because I do want this palm tree to kind of come out into the moon. So I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger here. And I'm gonna use my kneaded eraser. Kneaded erasers are great because they don't leave any of those kind of eraser crumbs, I like to call them, behind, but it's okay not to have one. As long as you have a pencil with an eraser, that is perfect. So I'm making my moon a little bigger here. I want to erase as much of the pencil as possible because when you're doing white, you don't want the pencil to kind of show through. All right. Now we are ready for the paint. Okay, so our first step is going to be using our flat brush. That's the bigger one. And we're going to be using our blue. We're going to start off by tracing around the palm tree and our moon, and then we'll fill in the background color. We're going to put the first layer on, which is going to be our blue. It's going to look streaky at first, but that's okay because we'll be layering the coloring, or I should say layering the colors. So we're going to start off, like I said, with our blue. We're going to trace around the moon and around our palm tree so that we know where to paint. And we want to leave, or actually I should say we don't want to leave any white spaces so that when we go back that it looks kind of strange when we go to paint the silhouette. So just take your time on this part. You don't have to be completely perfect yet with the color. Also want to come over here and make the water line and the hill. And we don't want to forget behind here too. And it's also okay if we paint over or a little bit into the palm tree. That's okay too, because we want to make sure that our paint reaches all the parts that we need it to, so that when we go to paint our silhouette, like I mentioned before, there aren't any white spaces showing. So it's really hard to go back and kind of fill those in. So this is about what you want so far. And now we're going to take our blue and go left to right and cover the background. So we're worrying about the sky for now. Okay, so I'm going to dip my water, just a little bit of my brush in the water, and now I'm going to start at the top of the canvas and just go from left to right. Again, just kind of covering the back, sort of the background. Makes it easier because we've already traced our moon in our palm tree. When you start to get around the areas that you have to fill in between the palm tree leaves, you can go in another direction other than left to right, but then you kind of want to go back and go left to right. You want all of your strokes to be going from left to right since it is the sky. But in order to fill it in, it's a little easier to go up and down at first. And then just gonna go back and just go left to right. Being careful not to go over the entire white spots that we did. And just take your time. Need some more blue here. Down here. And we're going to do the same thing. You want your strokes to go left to right. And as you can see, I'm not worried about it being dark yet. I just want to get the paint, the first layer of paint on my canvas. Make sure you bring it all the way to the edge of the canvas here. Again, smoothing out your strokes from left to right. And now we're going to continue and finish the left half of the canvas with the first layer of paint. So I'm going to load my brush up again with some more blue paint. And if you take a look at the original sample, the sky is darkest right near the water, and then along the right edge of the painting, up at the top, and then a little bit scattered throughout on the left. So just to kind of give you a little bit of reference here, although I always say in my classes that you are welcome to use your creativity, and I don't want you to create an exact copy of my painting, unless that's something you really want, but you should make it your own. So maybe if you want to add birds, or maybe you want to add a monkey, a silhouette of a monkey to, you know, kind of hanging off of the palm tree or something like that, please feel free to do that. Or maybe you want to change the blue. Maybe you want the blue to be lighter or darker. You're welcome to do that as well. I will just be teaching you generally how to create the silhouette and the sky, and obviously the ocean too. But with that, you have freedom to create or add or take away whatever you like. I'm just adding a little more paint to this side before I finish it off on this side here. See, and as you can see, you know, the paint is very opaque, and that's okay for the first layer. We just want to get some paint down. It really helps with the rest of the layers. So that's our intent for the first layer, to get that blue in there, cover the canvas, so that we can then start layering. I'm gonna add a little more blue over here so that there is not as much of a ring around the moon. More dark here. Here. And there we go. We have our first layer of paint. And now we're going to add some of the dark paint at the bottom here, and then add some dark up here. So we're going to use black. And we're going to add some lines in the middle with the black. And then we're going to continue layering on top of our sky. Okay, so now we're going to take our black paint and we're going to sweep across the top of the canvas from left to right. You're going to blend that black into the blue. You may want to, after adding the black, add a little more blue so that it blends. Also, your water is also here to add just a little bit in case your paint starts to dry. You can kind of dip a tiny little bit of your brush in there, but too much of it is going to make it look like watercolor, and we don't want that. We don't want it so thinned out that it looks like watercolor. So just a little bit. And then we're coming over here again at the bottom. Make it a bit darker. And I'm not worried about it looking exactly like my other sample. These always come out a little differently. That's the fun of it. Now I'm going to take my black a little more. I'm going to add some kind of strips over here on the left. and some here on the right. It's a little bit darker here on the right side of the canvas. So I'm going to go up and down a little bit and then go from side to side like we talked about before. A little more down here. See, it's okay if I go into my palm tree a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. And now, while that first part is on, and now that we have a separation between our sky and our sea, we now want to add the first layer of blue on the sea, on the water. So I'm gonna wash off that brush, and we mostly use this flat brush. We really only use the smaller brush, which is called the round brush, for detail with the moon. And then if you want to add some detail on the foam of the water, I'm just going to show that again. So we're going to let this color sit for now. We're going to come down here and add blue, the first layer of paint, which will be a blue color. We're going to take our blue. We're going to mix a little bit of white. And that's our first layer of paint. I need to add a little more here. You can also trace your hill there, and also right up against your sea line here. You want to be careful since you already created the line for the sky. And same thing, you're just going to fill in. You're just going to fill in the blue. Going from left to right. With your strokes. And this way you have your first layer of paint now on the entire background. Just trying to fill in every white space there. And as you see again, it's okay if we go into the hill shape. You just want to make sure that you fill in all the spots. Okay. And now that we did that, we're going to jump back up to our sky. I mean, I don't mind the Friday client. I can't think of it right this second, but yeah. Jesus. Okay, so we're now going to go in with our blue, and I like to add a little bit of white. Again, this is for our sky, and we're starting to layer some different colors so that it will be sort of a streaky sky. So I'm going to start here at the top. I'm just going to add a little bit of this light blue, but we're going to get a little darker. Your previous paint should be drying a bit. So it's going to make blending kind of nice because it'll still feel a little bit tacky, like slightly wet. And it's nice because the paint kind of has this misty look as you're trying to blend it with the other colors. It's kind of nice. And this is where, you know, you might want to add a little bit of water, a little more darker blue. Again, the darker blue tends to be on the left side of the canvas, and both sides of the canvas, actually, the left and the right. And then the lightest part is where the moon is, and sort of around the bottom of the moon. So again, kind of going all over, adding some of the blue to the black so that you don't want it to be too black here at the bottom, but see how the black is shining through? It's kind of nice. And you can go up and down a bit so that you can blend your colors. And then again, you go left to right for those strokes. Remember to keep getting in between each of the palm tree leaves. You don't want to leave those out because it will look really strange. And do your best to still have the leaves sort of available, even though we're going to be painting over or painting our silhouette on top of them. You still want to be able to have some sort of guide that they are there. So just take your time, blend everything. Add some more, a bit more blue here. I like to add some lighter, you know, adding white a bit here to the middle. I even still then start to go into the water here to add the white. So you can do that too. And again, it's where the moonlight is shining. So kind of in the middle here. So moving on back up here. Now you're doing streaks of color. So you get that streaky look. Adding a little more, just the regular blue. Top of the black here. Blending a little bit. Going left to right. Add a little more blue. So we're blending. Again, left to right, left to right. Smoothing it all out. Want to add a little more dark blue over here by our palm tree. And we're going to add some red too, right around here. If you look in the original here, we've got some red. Okay. And adding some darker blue down here, blending. And don't forget about the other side here. You don't want to leave that out. It will look very strange. A little more blue here. You also want to make sure to carry any of those colors all the way through or across so that it doesn't look strange. For instance, like what I'm doing here, where the palm tree is, you don't want the color in between the palm tree, you know, in between the leaves to be sort of a different color than anywhere else, because then it, well, it looks like that. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little more black and blue right here. Come up here a little bit, put some blue in the black. Going across. And we've got some more little black and blue over here. Again, here on the right side. And then we're going to add some red. Add a little bit of whitish blue, so it's going to look a little purple, which is great. So you've got that purplish color happening. It's nice. Add a little bit of white, so it looks a little pink. So you've got a lot of colors happening. It's great in the sky. You can do the same thing. Start to come down here with your red and blue. So you're going to have red and blue make purple. You're going to come down here. It's going to kind of look like a dark bluish purple. I like to make it darker, the sea darker towards this section, and then also again on either side of the canvas. So you're going to make lines of water. And again, what I'm doing is I'm using blue and red. A little bit on top of that white there. And now I'm going to add some white to a little bit of blue. Keep it light all around the middle here. But again, going left to right. And we're going to add some more dark blue, streaks of dark blue. Blend it. As you see, I'm moving my brush left to right. I'm going to add a little bit of black here, especially as we get to the bottom of the painting. Add a little bit of blue on top of it too, so that it's not so black. And then we'll go back later and we'll add some of the white foam. But this is just while we're working with both the sky and the water. And do a little more black over here. Some more lines. Blend it in with your blue so that it's not totally black. And a little more here at the bottom. Okay. This needs to be a little lighter. Just a little bit. There we go. All right. So we're just going to start to add some of the foam, just a little bit. And we'll go back. We are pretty much done with this part of the painting. So now we can start to add some of the foam in the water. And then the last two parts are silhouette or moon. We're gonna go and add our moon before our black silhouettes. And then our stars. Okay, so right now we're adding the foam on top of our water, and I put some white on the flat brush. Now you can also go back and use your thinner brush too, your smaller brush, however you feel comfortable. I like to use my bigger brush. I feel like I can cover more area. And so what I do is sometimes I kind of tap it around. You know, you're creating kind of like the foam on the water. So sometimes I tap it, and then sometimes I slide the brush from left to right just a little bit, and I leave spaces in between. I'm keeping the white part of the water to the left here for the most part. You see, that's where all our darks in the water. That's where all that is. And you can just kind of have fun with it. Our moonlight is shining right on the water, especially here in the back, closest to the moon. Add a little more. The edge there. There we go. And so now you want to wash out that brush because you want to add white to your moon. So the moon is white, but it also has some kind of light bluish. Now, if you find it easier to do it with your smaller brush, you might want to try the smaller brush, especially around the edges, because if not, your moon will just get bigger and bigger. I've done it. So what I tend to do is I kind of do the general circle, and then I go back with my smaller brush. Kind of round it out. So now I'm going to grab my smaller brush and just sort of fix around the edge. And the moon is the brightest along the edge, and then it gets a little more, you know, there's like the spots of blue. Looks like this is taking up some of the paint though, so I might wait until it's a little drier. I'm going to go in and add a little bit of the blue, very light, so you're looking at like a baby blue. And you just kind of want spots around. It's mostly to the right side of the moon here and in the middle. And then again, you're going to add some more white. Some more white, and don't be afraid to kind of have it be textured, because the moon is textured. So I'm going to add some to the edges here. And then you're going to let that dry, and we're going to come down here and we're going to start on our silhouette. We're finally going to start on our black silhouette here and here. And then we're going to do our stars. And our last part is going to be our leaves, the palm leaves, because we need to make sure that our moon is dry. So you may want to get a refresh of water. Of clear water. Yours may look kind of like this. And it won't affect it too much. It won't affect your painting too much, but I kind of like to get fresh water once in a while. So let's go get some fresh water. Okay, so we've got the fresh water here, and I'm gonna make sure my small brush also clean. So I mentioned what we're going to do is we're going to do our black silhouettes, but we're also going to do our stars. So for now, what we can do is we can do our stars with the back of our smaller brush. So you're gonna dip a little bit of it in there, and then you're gonna start to dab it on your canvas very lightly, barely touching it, and create stars. So this takes a little while. You want the smallest stars to be up here in the sky, so very light dabbing. So you can put just a little bit of paint on there. And if you want to test it out first, you can put it on a paper plate. Sort of like what I did with my paint to help spread it out. Or you can test it on a piece of paper that's colored or whatever. Or you just test it on your canvas. The reason I say that is sometimes you just want it to come out really, really a light dot rather than a thicker one, because then it looks like snow. So. And obviously, since we haven't used or haven't done our silhouette yet, our black silhouettes, you have to kind of guess, make sure you add some stars in between your palm leaves. So just a few here. Oops, that one did come out pretty big. And then you can also do it, so I also want to mention, you do want to kind of leave the stars probably about in this area and upward, since it is the sky. And then you can do it with the tip of your brush too, but I find it works a lot better on the other end, making the dots. So now we're finally going to get into our black for our silhouettes. So we're going to go back to our flat brush here, and we're going to start up here at the palm tree. So I like to sort of give it a little bit of roundness around here. I imagine that there are coconuts. So I sort of fill those out, and then I'm going to travel down. Create this hill, make it be a little bit bumpy. And you may have to go over this a second time with black, because if you want it really dark. And the last part is we'll go back up and create the leaves, and then we're all finished. So the other thing is that I hope that you can take a picture of your work and send it in to Parkland Community Library. So grateful that they are sponsoring this program. You can send it in to them. You can also send it to me, and I will share it with them, vice versa. I will give you my information in a few minutes. since we are nearing the completion of this painting. I can't wait to see what these are going to look like. Okay, so we have our silhouettes finished, and now I want to show you how to do the palm tree leaves. So we're still using our big brush. We're going to be going in this direction. So we're going to be creating black curved lines first, right? I think of it as almost like fireworks. Kind of looks like fireworks at first. And you want them to be different sizes. So, you know, smaller, bigger. And then you're going to start to fan them out. Make this one a little thicker. This one too. And then you want to kind of push that paint with the paintbrush so that the paint looks feathery. See that? Push downward. And I'm very lightly, just very lightly touching the canvas. See, I didn't go and add more paint because I want them to have that feathery look. Some of them are a little thicker. And you can add some more up here. And just take your time and have fun with it, but feather them out. Here we go. I want this one toward the moon. Right, going right in front of it there. Let's fix that right there. Fix this one a little more. Add some feathering here on the end. Add some a little here. Maybe going down a little bit. Coming out towards our canvas, maybe a little bit up here. And you can have fun with it, but there you go. And this is where, like I mentioned, if you want to go back and add another layer of black to make it even more of a silhouette, you're welcome to do that. So thank you so much for painting with me our Night Beach silhouette painting. Thank you so much for following along, and also for attending Parkland Community Library events, one like this one. I'm very grateful for them, so let's thank them for sponsoring this program. Please take a picture of your work and send it in. Also, if you're interested in more programs like this, my name is Anita Thompson of Art Venture Workshops, and you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday at artventureworkshops.com, or you can write me personally at artista72@yahoo.com and ask to be included in the newsletter. And I have the links to all the library programs that I teach. A lot of them are virtual, but there are some that are now in person. I do both, so it'll be delightful to see you again. So thank you for painting with me, and I can't wait to see your work.